Hey everybody, welcome to Neil Talks. My name's Neil and it's time to talk House of the Dragon. I'm not sure I've ever been so happy to have not read a book because I don't know what comes next in this story at all. I love that I know this world tangentially. I know that there are familiar places and family names, but I don't know where the story goes. Maybe that's because I didn't pay enough attention when I was reading A Song of Ice and Fire. Maybe it's just because I haven't been exposed to that information. But I'm so glad that I'm entering this episode and all future episodes without a clue. I only know what I've seen on screen in the last couple of episodes, and what I've seen has got me so amped for this show. The vibe is back from those early seasons of Game of Thrones where you're just... I think so many of us forgot how amazing Game of Thrones was in those first seasons because of the unfortunate way that the series ended. But there was so much drama, there was so much craziness. There were characters that you absolutely loathed and others that you loved and were heartbroken by time and time again. The writing was ruthless and yet intriguing, and it's all back. The tone is back, the music is back, the costumes and the setting and the vibe is back, and we're just hitting a similar story a little bit earlier. When we started a Game of Thrones, we were on the precipice of killing the king. Maybe it's not even that different, you know. Like because Game of Thrones extended for so long, it feels like it starts with the death of Sir Robert Baratheon, but it doesn't really. That takes a few episodes. So maybe we're in exactly the same position again, you know. Viserys, we feel like he's going to die any time now. It feels like every time he sits in the throne, he gets a new injury, whether it's the sore on his back or the cut on his finger. Those aren't healing. Maggots aren't doing the job. The man has a limited lifespan, and sooner or later he's going to fail. And at that point, it seems inevitable that House Targaryen and all of Westeros will fall into civil war. Those who side with Daemon versus those who side with Rhaenyra. Maybe there will be some other claimants to the throne. Maybe Otto will try something. Maybe, I'm blanking on his name. Corlys? Yeah, it feels like we're on the precipice of this massive civil war, just like we were at the start of Game of Thrones. But I'm very curious to see how much longer Viserys has. Will he have time to wed? Will he sire an heir? What happens if the king impregnates the queen, but the heir isn't born by the time he dies? Like, I'm honestly not sure how that works as far as inheriting the throne and all of this sort of thing. Who would be regent for his infant son if he were so lucky as to sire one before passing? And how much time are we, you know, we ticked off a bunch of months between episodes 1 and 2. Are we going to take a similar time skip again? Or is this episode going to be his wedding? Or are we in the time frame we're supposed to be now? I don't know. But I can't wait to find out. I hope you guys can't either. This is going to be... I feel like there's a time jump coming, and I'll tell you why. Because this episode is called Second of His Name. And we know Viserys is Viserys the First. So it wouldn't be a big jump at all to assume that if he named his son, he would name his son Viserys. And that would... if his son became king, he would be Viserys the Second of his name. Or maybe it applies completely differently. We know Daemon wants to have a son with his new wife, but she's taken steps to prevent that. But I mean, who knows? This world is expanding with every episode. We're going to learn more and more. We're going to meet new characters. I'm ready to jump into it if you guys are. Episode 3 of House of the Dragon. Oh, we're going straight in. I can't remember whether we used to start with a little bit of a teaser before going into the credits, or anyway, here we are, straight into the opening credits. Is that Corliss's sigil, I wonder? The Mer Horse? I feel like this is more work of the crab feeder.
House Valerian is coming for you! The sea snake will have your boxy fucking head! Fuck you, Prince Drahar.
Prince Drahar? Oh, wow. Look at the scale of those wings. Daemon's gaining some support this way. Oh! Nope. This is all politics. It's more important about wiping out the pirates than saving Targaryens. Oh. He's got such a long neck.
Come out, Drahar!
Okay. They're not impervious. Man, Caraxes is like a snake. It's so skinny.
He has your eyes, your grace. Yes, he does.
Oh, wow. We have jumped ahead
And
a
you
bunch.
have my nose, don't you? 2 years old. We're quite a party assembled in his honor. It only remains for Viserys to name him heir to the throne.
I wouldn't be so sure.
That's Aegon.
He's the king's firstborn son.
I don't know that His Grace sees it so clearly.
Lord Jason expects us in the Kingswood before midday.
Have you seen Rhaenyra?
I have not, Your Grace.
Under the dragon's eye.
What's that in the basket?
Again.
Is that a baby dragon?
Perhaps the princess might like to hear something else.
She would not. Play it again.
She's got her favorite song on loop.
Her heart broken for those. Your Grace.
Did I say to stop?
She's pregnant with a second.
From the beginning,
The royal hunt ready to depart.
decided to remain here and read instead.
You may go, Samuel.
You are to stay by order of the princess.
You were
The Queen commands you to leave the Godswood at once.
Ouch. Poor Samwell. Samwells never have it easy in this world.
The King wishes for you to join us.
Is it the king's command?
Yes, but
Then at once, your grace.
So much for their friendship.
How would you like to participate?
I'm not sure why I must.
Because you are my daughter.
No one's here for me.
Well, what a jolly camp. Oh my gosh. Look at the scale of this. For the hunt. It's a whole town. We got some Lannisters.
Hail, hail, Egon the Conqueror bade, second of his name.
He would be Aegon the Second, of course. Okay.
No king has ever been able to tame the Stepstones for long. It's an inhospitable place suited only for savages.
Perhaps the princess can give us some insight.
I wouldn't know. I've not spoken to Daemon in years.
Since you supplanted him as heir.
Daemon made his choices, Lady Kira.
The crown is at war, princess. Though your father refuses to admit it.
And how have you served the one with late Lady Red Wine, waiting cake?
The scale of this production blows my mind. Yes, let's make sure the captive peacocks are there. Can't have a hunt without captive peacocks.
Was your own second named heir as grand as this? Lord Jason Lannister.
I gathered that from all the lions.
I don't think we've been properly introduced. But the best sport is to be found at Castle Rock. I don't have a dragon pit, of course, but I do have the means and resources to build one. Lady wife.
Yeah, the jockeying for her hand begins.
Thank you for the wine.
She's not interested. I feel like she might be an Elizabeth I type, never taking a husband.
Is that what I am to you? A prize to proffer about to the great houses?
Jason Lannister is an excellent match.
He's arrogant and self-serious.
Well, I thought you might have that in common.
I do not wish to get married.
Even I do not exist above tradition and duty, Rhaenyra.
Excuse me, Your Grace.
Everybody stop. Still listening. Is she even interested in him? He's certainly got eyes for her.
Trying to sell me off to Jason Lannister.
You want me to kill him?
A little bit.
It's a beautiful day. We should take in the Kingswood.
He's obviously of too low station for her.
How lucky you are to have a say in your own life.
Many in the realm would gladly trade positions with you, Princess.
Only because none of them has ever held my position.
All that I have, I owe to you.
He knows better than to pursue her, too.
Before the dragons ruled over Westeros, White Hart was the symbol of royalty in these lands.
And on this day of all days.
Robert Baratheon died on a hunt. What's going to happen here? It's a 500-pound white stag they're up against. The sign of the Baratheons, who supplanted the Targaryens on the throne.
What I offer you, the crown and your daughter, is strength.
Do you think that House Targaryen wants for strength?
If someone offered you more dragons, would you not take them?
Do you have dragons to offer? Did not decide to name Rhaenyra my heir on a whim.
Wow, so it doesn't automatically become Aegon, no matter his... Interesting.
She'll do as you command.
Will she?
It is not my wish to command her, Otto. I want her to be happy. Who do you have in mind?
Daemon?
Prince Aegon.
What?
Fucking politicking!
Let us speak no more of it.
Otto did his job. He put the idea in Viserys' head. And it's not like the Targaryens don't do this sort of thing. Heck, they're only half-brother and sister. Viserys is frickin' miserable, though, man.
If I instead forbade her to wed a Lannister, she would have run off with Lord Jason out of spite.
That's the way to control her, then.
It would seem to me the best match for Rhaenyra is the son of the sea snake.
Oh.
Seleno.
The little kid.
Some years ago, I counseled you to take his sister to wife. My reasoning remains the same.
Unite the houses.
We must pray, of course, that Laenor survives the fighting in the Stepstones.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. We have to quell the Stepstones.
Princess, I must make a final plea that we return to the camp.
I'd rather prefer it here. Do you think the realm will ever accept me as their queen?
I can't tell whether she's, like, interested in him as a partner or not.
I'll have no choice but to, Princess.
Is the king of the Kingswood? Is she going to slay it? Or is it something more dangerous? Oh, it's a boar. Okay. Well, all right. Is she all right? I think she is. Finish it off. Oh, wow. Has she ever actually killed anything before?
I saw it in a dream.
Why did he have a dragon dream?
A male babe, born to me, wearing the Conqueror's crown.
Second of his name, Aegon.
My obsession killed Rhaenyra's mother. I never imagined I would remarry. But I would have a son. What if I was wrong?
Can you unname her, I wonder? I mean, he's king. I guess he can do whatever he wants, right? But... Oh, wow.
You may not be white, Your Grace. But he's a big lad.
That's not the one they were looking for. How is this sporting? Just so the king can have the kill, but I mean... I half expect him, Viserys, to get hurt, but...
One more time, Your Grace. Put a bit to your left.
Well, the noises. Oh. Well, he did not enjoy that, but... Man. Being king sucks. Being queen would suck. Being princess would suck. Applause. Like... Well done, sire. Such skill. Blood-stained hair. Oh, wow. If she comes home with it, what does that mean? The king of the Kingsguard. Jeez. She's gonna let it... Does she even want to be queen, I wonder? She's so badass. I love it. No, not even a word. Just walks past them.
Aegon, like his namesake, was born to rule the Seven Kingdoms. If Viserys were to name him heir, the realm would fate him for it.
Is it her job to persuade him that?
Do you not want your son to be king?
What mother wouldn't? Rhaenyra will be a good queen.
It wouldn't matter if she were Jaehaerys himself, born again. He's the firstborn son of the king. To deny that he is heir to the throne is to assail the laws of gods and men.
How's his hand? How's his
How are
back?
you feeling, husband?
The gods have punished me for my indulgences.
Hungover.
I do believe that Rhaenyra will marry Your Grace. But she must believe it is her choice to do so. Lord Corlys and Prince Daemon are losing their war.
Badly, by all accounts.
Pose a simpler question. Is it better for the realm if the crab feeder thrives, or is vanquished?
Aid is sailing to the Stepstones.
Did he make call for help?
He would sooner die. But his king does not mean to allow that. Why must every effort on your behalf be resisted, as if to the death?
Because you mean to replace me with Alicent Hightower's son. You might as well peddle me for what you can. A mountain stronghold or a fleet of ships.
I do not seek to replace you, child. What would you have me do?
If it was for advantage, you would have wed Lena Velaryon.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true enough. You must marry. Strengthen your own claim. As to your match, make it yourself.
Pick a Stark.
Set him out. I swear to you now, on your mother's memory, you will not be supplanted.
I don't think that's gonna hold. His heart's in the right place, but I think there's too many people pushing for Aegon. I mean, he feels this loyalty, and I appreciate that, but yeah, I don't see it lasting. Are those the support ships? Ah!
We've strafed them on Dragonback again and again, but they just retreat within the caves.
Is that the...
Show me the knight who will march into that hell pit, nephew, and I will show you a madman.
Daemon.
Daemon is why we are losing.
Laenor's grown up. That is him. That's the kid, right?
Prince Daemon, I bring word from His Grace Viserys Targaryen.
Is he gonna take it? Presumably he must. Oh! Jesus. What? What the hell?
Know that it is not my desire to see you fail in your cause. It is instead my hope that this aid will deliver the victory that has thus far evaded us.
Is he rowing out to draw them? Brutal. What an awesome image, though. He's surrendering? Or is this a trick? No dragons that he can see? This guy's skin Scorched, presumably, but not enough. Sure death, right? But you're not going to kill Matt Smith in episode 3. Sean Bean lasted a whole season. None of these are hitting him? Like, no one knows how to lead a target? He's just not stopping, but why are they only coming one at a time? There we go, finally a couple arrows. Finally. And now there's a dragon in the sky. This makeup is amazing. It's disgusting, but it's amazing. Jeez. How he's not gonna survive this. Right? Like, how? Man, no one wants to be the first one. But come on. Do we know that guy? I mean, obviously he's a Targaryen, but I don't know all the Dragon Riders. Oh. And he's going to hide. No loyalty to his men. Alright, I think we're taking the stepstones right now. Whoa. Like, that's gotta take out some friendly... there's gonna be some friendly fire there, too, literally. Oh. What do we... Oh, we cut him in half. Jeez. Yeah, he absolutely killed him. We don't even get to see that, though. Come on. Brutal. So yeah, Daemon just didn't want the help from his brother. He wanted to do it on his own. And if that's what it took. Awesome. I'm loving this story, but I'm surprised at how quickly it's advancing. You know, it was months between episode 1 and 2. It feels like it's 3 years between episodes 2 and 3. Or close to it. It really does make me wonder how long we're going to go this first season. Are we going to continue to have jumps like this, or are we going to find a spot where we need to spend multiple episodes in a particular tight time frame? I don't know. But Viserys, who I thought was like on the verge of dying in episode 1, has lasted years. He's produced an heir, and yet Rhaenyra is still his declared heir to the throne. Aegon hasn't been named such yet, even though his advisors, all the major houses seem to support the idea that Aegon is the future king. But Viserys has this odd loyalty to Rhaenyra, and not that it's odd to place loyalty in your daughter, but it seems like it's certainly not the norm for the time, and no one would really fault him for doing it except maybe Rhaenyra, his daughter, because she feels like he's displacing, like supplanting her, and the only need he has of her anymore is as marriage bait so that he can gain the support of another major house. Which seems, you know, obviously, I mean, this is the politics of monarchy, and yeah, this is how politics used to be: wedding major houses and crowns and fortifying your strength and your alliances through marriage. And yeah, women didn't really have any say in it. Their two roles were to wed and to produce heirs. And it seems like Rhaenyra has no interest in either of those, at least at the moment. It's sad to see the dynamic between her and Queen Alicent now, because they used to be so close, and now, you know, Rhaenyra feels that she was betrayed by her best friend, and, you know, clearly they barely speak. They only speak when they have to, you know, as the king commands. But I'm still trying to figure out people's motivations, which I like. I like that it's not written on the wall. I can't determine whether Rhaenyra really truly wants the crown or not, or whether she just wants freedom to do what she wants. Which, I mean, either one is fine, but it's hard to read. You know, her father's just given her permission to marry who she wants, but I feel like that comes with conditions. That's not truly anyone she wants. That's not Sir Criston Cole, for instance. It's the scion of a major house. Otherwise, you're not consolidating power. Rhaenyra's already elevated the Coles as high as they've ever been, and elevating them further through marriage would do nothing. In fact, it would be curious and odd, and probably make them a bit of a laughingstock when there are so many more advantageous opportunities to marry, whether it's the Lannisters or another house, or whether it's consolidating House Targaryen with the Valerians, or whether it's marrying her half-brother, Prince Aegon. All of these things have their political and tactical advantage. But it seems, at least for the time being, that Rhaenyra's been given permission to find her own match. So that'll be interesting to see if she actively pursues that, or what. Ironically, her father, I really like Viserys. Is he a great king? No, but is he a good man? Yes. He's more concerned about the welfare of his daughter than the welfare of the crown, of the country. And like Rhaenyra said, the smart choice for him would have been to marry the 12-year-old Valerian girl. Instead, he married Alicent, not out of strategy, but out of affection. Weird affection because of the age difference, but marginally healthier than that with the young princess. Or the young lady. She's not a princess, but yeah. And we've got our first real battle scene in this episode. Really interesting that Corlys's brother wrote to the king for help, and the king finally decided that it was good to help the Sea Snake and Daemon take the stepstones. But before that help could arrive, because Daemon would never ask for help or apparently take it, Daemon decides to do this suicide run by fake surrendering, taking out way too many swordsmen who all decide to run one at a time, evading a ton of arrows to an unrealistic level, frankly. But none of these archers can lead a target. It seems a little bit funny based on how quickly we've seen other people dealt with in battle. Nevertheless, he survives. He ultimately takes a few arrows, pulls 2.5 of them out, kills the crab feeder, and it appears that the stepstones are retaken by the realm. Except, are they truly taken by the realm, or are they now... Because Corlys and Daemon were never like expressly fighting for the crown to take the stepstones back. They were fighting to protect the shipping lanes. They were fighting to gain favor amongst the major houses, but they were never fighting on behalf of Viserys per se. And now they've taken them without Viserys' help. So what does that mean exactly? It certainly will mean that Daemon will start to garner support again. But I don't see why anyone would consider Daemon to be the best option to take the Iron Throne now. Now that Viserys has a son with the birthright to the throne, it feels like that's the acceptable heir. And why shouldn't Aegon take it? I'm just speaking in the rules of the time, the laws of gods and men, as Otto says. Obviously, at some point, kingdoms make the transition and say, you know what, a queen is cool too, but no woman has ever sat on the Iron Throne at this point. So Aegon seems like the most, not just the most acceptable heir, but like the rightful heir. Like there shouldn't be a debate here. So Daemon's done all this work retaking the Stepstones. To what end exactly? Who would truly support him in a civil war? Yeah, Aegon's got a claim. Rhaenyra is named the heir, which will be her claim. But what claim does Daemon have at this point? When the choice is a brother or a daughter, I get it. But the choice is between a son, a daughter, and a brother. The brother comes a distant third in the order of succession. I do find it interesting that the king of the Kingswood, that giant white hart, the white stag, Viserys never found it. His scouts never found it, but Rhaenyra did and chose not to kill it. I'm trying to figure out what that means. When that boar attacked their camp at night, she finished it off. Kristen did the bulk of the kill, but she finished it off. But the way she finished it off, violently, repeatedly stabbing it, made me feel like it was. I mean, she's not a killer at heart. There was anger and fear in that stabbing, and it would surprise me honestly to find out if she had killed something prior. You know, although she's a dragon rider, so do you feel the same sense of kill if you order your dragon with Dracarys and it kills an animal or someone? I don't know, but it is time of peace, so let's assume that's her first kill, and maybe that was enough for her. Maybe that was enough to say, I don't want to kill that deer, even though it'd be a mighty trophy and auspicious and all the rest of it, although it would have muddied the waters if Rhaenyra, the heir to the throne, came back with the stag and her father didn't, in the name of Aegon and all of this. Yeah, how much of this is symbolism? You know, like, I feel like that white stag is as symbolic as the dead direwolf that we find early in Game of Thrones with all the pups, and there's so much symbolism tied into those direwolf pups who become characters in their own right. This stag is certainly symbolic to some degree. But what are your guys' thoughts? I forget who said it in Game of Thrones, but the Targaryens are described as it's a coin flip to decide whether they're going to be great or mad. And that's why I think Viserys confuses me, because I don't think he's either. He's a good man and he's reigning over a time of peace, and yet he's got so many advisors. He's defying so many of his advisors, and not necessarily. And it feels like they're giving him good advice, practical advice, strategic advice. It doesn't feel like he's being manipulated for evil ends, but he is being manipulated away from his heart. But I also don't see him as crazy, despite the fact that he is distraught and worried. The way he puts it, that, what does he say? He says, I'm in constant danger of offending one person by helping another. And I think that's, you know, let's face it, that's politics, that's power, it's choosing who to help. And that desire to be loved by everyone is probably something that you just sort of have to throw away when you reach that level of power. You're always going to have enemies. Every action you make has major consequences, to the benefit of some and probably to the detriment of others. And balancing that is the art of politics and of rule, I suppose. I wish I had a better idea of where we're going, because after the first episode, you know what, I don't wish it. I just, my mind isn't there yet, or maybe they just haven't, the story isn't fully revealed. When we first got that episode, I thought this was going to be a relatively straightforward civil war between Daemon and Rhaenyra. But now we have Aegon, who obviously isn't a character in his own right, and yet he is the natural heir to the throne, even if Rhaenyra is the declared heir. And how is Westeros going to shake up when Viserys passes? How many will continue to support Rhaenyra, even though they've all declared it, when Viserys is gone? How many will immediately switch allegiance to Aegon? How many might side with Daemon for whatever reason? Would Daemon support Aegon to complicate matters? I don't know where the politics of this are going, and I don't know how much longer Viserys had. I would have, every time I start an episode, I'm like convinced this is the episode he's going to die, and yet he seems to be hanging on quite well, at least for the time being. We didn't even really address his health this episode, so yeah, man, I don't know where we're going, and I kind of like it. I like it being a dark tunnel without a light at the end. I don't know what happens next, and that's what good story is about, is making you want more. And I definitely want more, and unfortunately I have to wait a week, and so do you guys. So until then, everybody, take care, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.